there. Hope you're having a great summer. Thank you for listening to 15 Minutes with Fuzz. I am your host, Fuzz Martin, and each week I invite guests to join me to talk about positive things happening here in Washington County, Wisconsin. And sometimes I even get to learn about things that I'm not totally familiar with. And this is one of those weeks. Tami and Wade Mauland join me this week to talk about geocaching and the upcoming West Bend Cache Bash. West Bend is the geocaching capital of the Midwest. And Tami and Wade have been pioneers in geocaching in our area. And they're a great listen. They've got a lot of fun stories, and I had a lot of fun making this episode. And with that, here are 15 minutes on the West Bend Cache Bash with Tami and Wade Mauland on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Tami and Wade, thanks for joining me today. So we're going to talk about West Bend's Cache Bash 2022 coming up. But first, I want to talk about the activity of geocaching as a whole. I'm going to admit to you that I know that West Bend is one of the Midwest's geocaching capitals. I've also never geocached before, and I'm very unfamiliar with it. So could you please explain to me what it is?
Well, let me just start. I have two popular T-shirts here, and one saying is, I use multi-million-dollar satellites to find Tupperware in the woods. What's your hobby? And not all who wander are lost. Some are geocaching.
All right, very good. So the idea is you use GPS, right?
Yeah, geocaching is a locationless or location game using GPS satellites.
Okay.
So you're out trying to find a geocache, usually on public land.
Okay.
And it can range in various sizes, including being disguised or camouflaged.
Sure.
And various levels of difficulty and terrain. So it can be very simple for a family or somebody who's physically challenged to go out and find things, and it can be very challenging.
Okay.
Where you...
And so do you get general coordinates as to where something is?
Yeah.
Is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah, so you're using your phone, and it provides coordinates. You can also use a GPS receiver if you're old school. But it'll give you coordinates, and it'll take you probably within 30 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're all hidden, I assume. Are they buried? Are they?
No, you can't bury them,
Okay.
but they are located, maybe by a tree or up a tree or.
Oh, so Tami has some show and tell objects here. So this is a rock. And so it's hollow, and it's
a fake rock.
Yeah, and how do you
that
open?
just slides out, and then the logbook would go in there.
Okay,
So,
and then you mark down that you were there, and
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you have like handles or something, or do you use your actual name? Okay,
Yeah, they have handles. For example, Tami's handle is Earth Angel.
all right. So when I got the email invite, I saw Tami Earth Angel, and I forgot what was your
Wade. Professor. I'm
professor,
a retired educator.
then I was like, what is the?
well,
we
got to back up because it was actually Wade made up our family name of Eco Rangers.
Okay.
And we started geocaching back in 2003, and our kids were 4 and 6. So we'd the Eco Rangers were going out, and then it's like, well, then we go back home and log it online. It's like, well, who found it? It's like Eco Rangers. Well, which one? So then my husband's like, well, he's Professor. I'm Earth Angel. Our son was Duelist, and he turned it to Great Dane the older he got, and then our daughter was Prince, and our daughter was Princess. So that's how. So it's like, 4-year-old Princess of the Eco Rangers found it, or 6-year-old Duelist, and Earth Angel. So that's pretty special.
I have had one experience with geocaching, and it may have been, I don't know how big the area one is, but I was hiking in the Newfane trails.
Sure.
And I saw a whole bunch of people running around with their phones and stuff. And there were lots of kids. There was probably 20, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
And it was really cool to see. I figured they were geocaching just by the nature of them walking, or either that or they were playing Pokemon Go.
Right.
But they were all looking for something. So I assumed that was. But that's really cool. And it's good to have the background on why you're Earth Angel and you're Professor and what the Eco Rangers are, which is your family team name. So that's kind of cool. Thank you for the explanation on that. How does someone get started with geocaching? How did you guys get started with geocaching?
Wade?
Well, I was at the YMCA here in town and sitting in the sauna, picked up a magazine at the time, and there was an article on geocaching.
Mhm.
I thought, God, this is great. I used to teach orienteering back in the day.
Okay.
Using map and compass to navigate around, and this was like the next step up technologically wise.
Mhm.
So anyway, I went out, bought a GPS receiver at Walmart, and we downloaded the coordinates and went out. And after walking around and getting somewhat close, Tammy found our first geocache.
Well, we always go hiking, and Ridge Run was our favorite. So
Okay.
he's like, we're gonna go hiking, and we're gonna go park on this side, and we're gonna do this. And I'm like, what do you mean we're gonna do this? And he's like, hiking with the purpose. And then he showed me the Magellan Gold Meridian GPS, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of exciting. And we could not find it, and the GPS is just spinning around, and we're like, he's like, well, we're supposed to also do a CITO. What is that? Cash in, trash out. It's a way to give back to the communities that let you play in their parks.
Mhm.
So I'm picking up the garbage. I'm just walking around in circles, picking up garbage. Also, I'm like, hey, are we supposed to find like a toolbox or a fishing box? And my husband's like, yeah. I said, I found it. That's why I gave myself the name Earth Angel and just fell in love with it and was hooked ever since.
Excellent. Though that's really cool. So what kind of stuff are there things in the geocache themselves? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for sure the logbook.
Yep.
And there's a logbook that you sign when you find it.
Okay.
Just to kind of show you've been there. And then there's a lot of what people call swag. So
Okay, I see.
A lot of kids' toys.
We've got a
things like
painted
that.
rock here and a Ice Age trail pin, and some. In this particular one, we've got.
Is that the
That's the
logbook?
logbook.
Logbook. Okay. Yep. A little baby shark finger thing.
Finger puppet and then
And
some crayons.
That's cool.
And so usually if you take something, you put something in.
Sure.
Of equal value.
Okay.
Is what it was.
So a lot of shopping at Oriental Trading Company.
Exactly.
Dollar Tree.
I also have a teacher wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
So it's really neat. It's like a treasure hunt.
Yep.
Take the family out, take the kids out, get outside, enjoy the weather, go somewhere probably you've never been before and see some really cool stuff and find treasure at the end for the kids.
what's the coolest place you guys have ever geocached at?
Oh man.
We've been all over.
Yeah, we've been all over the states.
We love waterfall hikes, hiking
Okay.
to the
Yeah,
waterfall.
there was one out in Arizona on right by the Arizona naval ship
Okay.
Bell, and that was the real one. Of course, is in Hawaii.
Sure.
You know where. And so yeah, all over, just neat spots that we've been up on mountains. I mean, they're everywhere, and it's always been a great adventure. So
Now, you guys have this Magellan GPS unit here, but you can use a cell phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's primarily what everybody is doing. You sign up, you go to geocaching.com,
Okay.
get signed up, and can get going right away.
How do you find coordinates for that? You go to geocaching.com? Is that
Yep.
how? Okay.
And you have to go through a process to hide them.
Okay.
And you shouldn't hide them until after you found a bunch, so you get a feel for it.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, if you you're in an area, you look around and you can find it'll pop up and it'll tell you whether,
sure, yeah.
miles or feet away, and then
So the nearest one from us right now is 1 mile away.
no,
okay.
I just that's the West Bend Cache Bash.
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
coming up
Okay.
just 1 mile away. But yeah, you can just do a search and find all the different kinds that are close by you. And for example, right here, there's one. The old courthouse.
Oh, look at that. Across the street from the studio that we're recording
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to find, though.
Yeah,
That's a hard one.
253 feet.
That's a hard one, though. And like most games, you're not going to find them all. So you just go back and log your no find. Sometimes it's been missing or
Sure.
And that lets
damaged.
the cache owner, the geocache owner, know that come and check on it and make sure it's there.
That
You know.
either you couldn't find it or somebody may have
Yeah.
taken it or something.
Walked away with it.
And probably not, it might not have been a geocacher even.
Right.
So what are the age ranges for people that participate in this?
Well, my family, we have 4 generations of geocachers.
Really?
My
Okay.
stepfather and I geocached. We were going to a birthday party in Illinois, and we had 2 stops. So 92-year-old, and then my niece, her youngest is 2 now, and she was geocaching with us. Every year if we get a big group, our family gets together for the Cache Bash. We make it an annual thing. So we got these little kids in the woods, and we're giving them piggyback rides, and just so much fun. These kids look forward to this every year, and it's good family bonding.
Yeah.
To do
And
that.
I see that you have newspaper articles from when your kids were
Yeah.
very young, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys have been doing this for a while.
We started when our kids were 4 and 6,
Okay.
and I was just thinking and reminiscing over the years, and I remember, and then the kids get the teenage years, and it's not that big of a deal. But then when my son got his temps, he's like, "Mom, I got to do so many behind the wheel hours." I'm like, "Oh, good, Dane, you're taking me geocaching." And then I'm short, so all the ones that were tall, he had to actually get out of the car and get them for me out of the tree or wherever they were. So
Sure.
that was a happy memory of mine.
Oh, that's excellent. It sounds like a good family bonding experience because you're out all searching and you said it's cash in, trash out, right?
Yes.
So that means you're helping clean up whatever park or area you're in, whatever.
Yeah, that's really important to give back, and people really appreciate that. And we do that even when we're not even geocaching, if we're walking our neighborhood, and then I do, pick up the garbage. I do want to say I just Googled this too, and then geocaching, when it first came out in 2000 in Oregon, it was called geostashing.
Okay.
Geocaching was started by a group of people who were interested in technology and geography. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool.
And Wade and I, we went out to the very first cache.
Yeah,
Found it
in Washington near Seattle. Well,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So the original cache.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have a big marker there right now for that, and it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
West Bend's Cache Bash is coming August 5th and 6th. I think it's the 14th event.
14th annual. We missed because of COVID. I think everybody missed that year.
Yeah, so that we just call it annual.
We
I think everybody's been doing that because otherwise it gets turns into math, right?
Yeah, forget.
So you're both on the planning committee. What can people expect at this year's Cache Bash?
Well, the theme is fun and games, and the hiders, when we came up with that theme, everybody's like, well, I want Twister, I want chess, I want Pokemon, I want this, so there's going to be it's going to be all fun and games. And a lot of people are getting really creative with their hides, and they're doing kind of like more gadget caches. And my family does a lot of those breakout rooms, those escape rooms, where you're locked in for an hour. And so a lot of these geocaches are kind of like one step like that. And it's just so much fun. And we're trying something new this year because a lot of people have their families. So we're having the first 15 on the list are all family friendly. They're not going to make you hike, really far into the woods where there's poison ivy and thorns and ticks and all that stuff. So that's really neat for the families to be able to do that. Yeah. We'll have some hard ones too, and some really neat locations. West Bend's beautiful for hosting this. We have bike trails and the hiking trail and Ice Age Trail and Eisenbahn. And
is that what makes West Bend, or what has made West Bend so popular with geocaching? Is it just the geocaching community here, or is there something that makes people want to come here?
I think a mix of everything. I mean,
the community is really positive towards geocaching. There's a lot of people up here that geocache, and the city has really gotten behind it.
Sure.
And obviously, there's a lot of great parks here, and a lot of things to hide geocaches.
Yeah,
and
for sure,
find them. So
we have a Wisconsin Geocaching Association, and they're part of the Cache Bash as well, and they do a lot of stuff with promoting it. They do offer a beginner class. I think they have one this year, Friday and Saturday. And so, we just want to keep giving back and keep building it and keeping it fresh. And so there's 66 new hides. There's also I think somebody said there's 1,200 geocaches within 10 miles of West Bend, so you'll never run out of caches, and there's something for all ages, for all abilities. Last year we ran into two little grannies in the woods, and you're supposed to climb a tree. It's called an evil monkey hide because the evil monkey climbed the tree, left it up there, and then these two grannies, the one's I already broke my hip last year in Texas. So then my husband, Wade, and Mike, a friend of ours, they both climbed the tree and threw the cache down. Then we're trying to throw it back up to them. It took about 10 tries. But, it's just fun. And, we feel like we have an extended family over the United States that we meet through geocaching.
Sure.
And it's just so much fun after to see everybody, especially after the year not with COVID, and we didn't get to see everybody. And it just was really warming to reunite with everybody.
Now, there are people that come from all over the world to West Bend for this, right?
Yeah. And and West Bend Cash Bash is a mega event. That means you have at least 500 people plus all teams coming. And my husband and I, we travel all over the United States and go to these other mega events. And I'll wear my Cash Bash shirt, and they're like, "Oh my God, West Bend, you guys have the best mega event everywhere." You know, everybody tells me what a great time they have, but I'm still got to get there. But it's always positive about how well organized it is, how great job the chamber does. And it's just so exciting that people are like, "Oh, I know West Bend, you guys this, and it's all about geocaching," and it's so cool.
Every time, Craig Farrell, when he was at the chamber, was extremely into this. This was his baby. He was our father. Yeah.
So,
and he's talked so much about it, and every year I'm like, I should probably learn more about it. But I do have, I have a 7-year-old, and she's into adventure and science.
Ooh.
And I think that hiking and stuff like that, we go on the Eisenbahn all the the Ice Age all the time.
Yeah.
And I think she would really enjoy this. So we'll probably check that out soon.
Yeah, so let us know if you need any help or have any questions.
Well, and that's how the Cash Bash came to be. My friend Laurel, who's a geocacher, her and I worked at Badger Middle School, and she went to the chamber to see if she could put a geocache under the front porch.
Oh, sure.
And Craig had known about geocaching, and being the business person that he knew that this would be a great thing to do. So then between Laurel and Craig, then they got me on board. So pretty much the three of us got the Cash Bash going and keeping it going. So.
Yeah. Well, and now, again, people are coming to West Bend and staying in the hotels and eating at restaurants and shopping at stores and supporting these different local businesses.
Filling up their gas tanks. Yeah, the campgrounds are full, hotels are full. And then if they can't find them all, they come back the next weekend or come back in winter. We're Four Seasons. People, we made a name for ourselves.
And this is something that you don't have to do during an event, right? You can just go out at any time and do these kind of things. Yeah. So, well, Tami and Wade, this is like extremely a lot of great information. You're very obviously passionate about it, and I appreciate you guys enlightening me on that and our listeners to the show. And again, the West Bend Cash Bash is August 5th and 6th. Is there a place where people can learn more information about it?
Well, if you go to geocaching.com, they have all the information about the game and what to do. And
but if you contact the chamber, West Bend Area Chamber, they'll help you.
Yeah, if you type in Cash Bash, I'm pretty sure it comes up in Google right away. If you type in West Bend's Cash Bash,
they're just call, and then Tony does a remarkable job now, and Nicole.
Yeah, she's carrying the torch now for Craig.
Yep. So both Nicole and Tony, we didn't lose a beat or drop a beat or drop a step, whatever the thing is. So we want to keep it going. Yeah.
Didn't find a cache. So. Well, thank you again for coming in, and good luck at this year's Cash Bash, and thanks for putting this together.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
You as well. Thanks again to Tami and Wade Mauland for joining me on this week's episode of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Again, West Bend's Cash Bash is coming up August 5th and 6th. Check out the West Bend Area Chamber of Commerce website for more details on that event. I'll drop a link to that into the episode's show notes, which you can go by clicking on the description of this particular podcast episode. Can you believe it? It's already been 51 weeks of this show. The 52nd week comes up next week because that's how time works. It'll be the closeout of season 1 of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. I do appreciate you listening. You can find more about the show at 15 with Fuzz on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or wherever you listen to your podcast episodes. We'll talk to you next week right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz.